Alright, let's just get right into it. The Hawks have fired Nate McMillan. Woj announced it yesterday afternoon. Am I surprised about the Hawks firing Nate McMillan? No, I am surprised about the timing. Because they could have fired him before the All-Star break, but they did it in the middle of the All-Star break. While Nate was probably on vacation somewhere, and then the next thing you know, he finds out he got fired. He literally got fired on his day off.
How the hell you gonna get fired on your day off?
That's just funny to me, but I'm not surprised they fired him because it felt that his time with the Hawks had run its course. Outside of the year when they surprisingly made the conference finals where they ended up losing to the Bucks in 6 games, the Hawks haven't been nothing more than a play-in team in his tenure, with them having a record of 29-30 and being the 8th seed in the East as of right now. And last season having a record of 43-39, finishing as the 8th seed and losing in the first round to the Heat in 5 games. Especially seemed like his time as the coach had run its course when there were reports of him and Trae butting heads. And in those situations, the superstar player will majority of the time win in that situation over the coach. So after that situation, it was kind of clear that Nate McMillan was going to be fired, whether it happened like it did now or in the offseason. And with the Hawks trading for dejountemurray, there were expectations for them to not be a play-in team and possibly make the playoffs outright, being the 6th or 5th seed. And with the Hawks not living up to those expectations, the writing was on the wall. So I think it was right for the Hawks to fire him and go in a new direction. Now Joe Prunty becomes the interim coach. And the top candidates for the job as of right now are Quinn Snyder, Kenny Atkinson, Charles Lee, who's the Bucks assistant coach, Jordy Fernandez, who's the Kings assistant coach, Mitch Johnson, who's the Spurs assistant coach, and Miles Simon, who's the coach of the Lakers G League team. The front runner for the job is Quinn Snyder, and I think he will end up getting the job. He's the most proven and has the most experience out of all the candidates. In his time with the Jazz, he led them to the playoffs 6 times in his 8 seasons. He led them to 3 50-win seasons, and they were a top 5 seed in the West 5 times in his 8 years there. Quinn Snyder has had success with a great offensive guard who wasn't a great defender in Donovan Mitchell, and I think Quinn Snyder would be able to have a successful offense like he did with the Jazz with him coaching Traeyoung and dejountemurray. He was able to lead the Jazz to have multiple seasons of them being a top 10 offense with a backcourt of Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley. And the Hawks have solid to good shooters from deep on the roster with AJ Griffin, Bojan Bogdanovic, dejountemurray, DeAndre Hunter, and Trae Young is having a down year shooting from deep, but for his career he has shot 35% on 7.2 attempts. And defensively, I don't think Snyder could somewhat replicate the success he had with the Jazz this season. The Hawks don't have a lot of solid or good defenders outside of dejountemurray, DeAndre Hunter, and Clint Capella. So if the Hawks make moves in the offseason and add more 3-and-D role players, then they could be a top 12 to top 15 defense. I don't know if they could ever have a top 10 defense considering how much of a negative Trae Young is defensively. I appreciate you watching the video. If you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. Let me know in the comments who do you think the Hawks should hire to replace Nate McMillan. And I'll see you on the next video. More content on the way.